Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, I would like to ask my viewers to please sign a pledge to never drive distracted again, and you can sign that pledge by hitting the dislike button on this video. I want this to go down as the next YouTube rewind because it will be a meme. I want to talk about the last couple of car accidents I got into and why I think it's important to make this pledge. I have a bad habit of distracted driving, not necessarily with my phone. I practically never text and drive, but I have a habit of daydreaming while I'm driving. And I often have issues that are crunching in the back of my head as I'm driving. As I'm driving, I'll be thinking about what I'm going to say to my boss today at work or how something went down at work. Something unfair at work. Maybe my boss was upset that I had brought up that I have food allergies. Things like that have a tendency to crunch down in my head as I'm driving. Driving is just sometimes if you forget what you're doing, it can become very monotonous. But if you remember that why you need to stop driving distracted, it gives you a little bit of purpose on the road. That's why I need you guys to sign the pledge. I had been driving on I 405 in Bellevue, Washington. It was 2016, and I had just come home from two really solemn events. First, I didn't win the gold medal at the Computer Olympiad that year. I had competed in lines of action, and I had narrowly lost to my opponent. He was from the Netherlands. And number two, I broke up with my girlfriend of many years because she wanted children. And as I'm driving, I'm thinking maybe it wouldn't have been a bad idea to have some kids with her because with the computer games, at that point, I had only been writing computer games for 3 years, but I felt like I had barely scratched the surface. I felt like at the rate I was going, I could continue writing for thousands of years. And I thought maybe it was not a bad idea to have some kids so that they could continue the legacy. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel like the computer games are something to be done. It's more of something to gain an experience, right? But I was daydreaming, and then traffic in front of me slowed down, and I had the misfortune. I tried to pull into the shoulder. I would have gotten away with it, except somebody else had car trouble or something, and was in the, it was a big van as well. But that's just the kind of luck that I have. But anyway, as soon as I got into the accident and I was exchanging the insurance information and filing a police report, it occurred to me, dang, I wish I could just go back 5 minutes or even just a few seconds before the accident. Now I have to spend all this time filing papers and replacing my car, and who knows how long my car insurance premiums are going to go up for. And it just became like, gee, I wish I could just go back 5 seconds. And that's a universal thought. Every time I've gotten into an accident or a bad situation, doesn't even have to be car related. Every time I've messed up at work because I was so busy thinking about something else that I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Every time I've said the wrong thing to a friend or any sort of situation. If only I could go back 5 seconds. That's a very universal thought. Leave a comment if you've ever felt that way and what situation caused you to feel that way. Every car accident, as long as the people live through it, probably results in everybody thinking that way, right? I would imagine that's probably a very universal concept. So don't do it then. Get there in one piece on time, and then take out your phone and do whatever you need to do, right? It's really that simple. Now, what really scares me, I thought back to the last 5 accidents I've had. Three of them were my fault. The other two were other people's fault. Now, the people that I get into accidents with, it's always one driver. Often, when I later find out more about them, probably single, no kids. And unfortunately, that's the direction our demographics are going down. And it really bothers me that a lot of these drivers out there, they don't have things to lose. right? So, for example, if I got killed in an accident, I don't leave stuff unfinished, right? Kids to raise or a spouse to take care of. And unfortunately, our highways are filled with people like that. And it really scares the crud out of me. And I know that these people drive less carefully because I can attest on being on in different situations. I dated a girl many years my junior just before the pandemic, and I can that's actually what caused me to stop having these car accidents. And then I started making art, and I often have a lot of art in my car, right? I don't always have the time to unload every time I go to a coin show and all the other fun stuff. Not to mention, some of these things are just unusual. I don't want to be pulled over by the police or to get in a car accident where the police have to show up and wonder what I'm doing. Right? Some of the chemicals that I work with, white powders, and then you got a bunch of metals. It just creates a weird situation to have to explain to the police. We don't need to review all of the police brutality stories of late, right? It just rather not deal with that. That's why I always have a lot of anxiety when I see police cars on the road. And and then you got these carefree people. They got an empty car, no art projects, no spouse to take care of, no kids. We're coming up to Thanksgiving. I remember as a kid, Thanksgiving was all revolved around the family. Nowadays, it's people with no responsibilities just wandering out there. And it's just a scary concept to me, in my opinion. I think everybody should at least have some kind of purpose, like my art projects, right? Something that you have to come home to, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.